Alright, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Left, Right, Good Night YouTube channel with Cameron Gilmore once again. We're going to be going over UFC 297 today. The event happened around 24 hours ago. It's just under 24 hours, maybe at the time of recording. The pay-per-view was very underwhelming, I feel like. I think it was an okay card. I'd give it maybe a 5 out of 10, maybe even a 4 out of 10. I think it was really a bit of a letdown. I personally thought the prelims were better than the main card. I think, okay, Strickland Du Plessis was awesome. I completely understand that. But I think some of the other fights were very boring. But I think some of the fights on the prelims were a lot more entertaining. But I only kind of want to go over a couple of the fights today. We're pretty much going to be going over the main card. But yeah. So without further ado, I feel like the best way to start this is going over Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis. Before I talk about the scorecard, I think the fight was awesome. It was a fun fight. It was a brawl. It was a war. Awesome 5-round fight. Super entertaining. It was very fun to watch. And it was incredibly close. Now, I don't agree with everyone calling it a robbery. Oh, Sean Strickland, he was robbed. Dricus Du Plessis was the clear winner. This, that. Now, I see the argument for both sides, but you're wrong. It was not a robbery in any way, shape, or form. It was clear that Dricus Du Plessis won 2 rounds of those 5, and Sean Strickland won 2 rounds out of those 5. I personally believe that Sean Strickland clearly won rounds 1 and round 5. Round 2 is really up for debate, and I think Dricus won rounds 3 and round 4. So that leaves round 2 really up for anyone. And after rewatching it, because I think we can all pretty much agree on those scorecards so far. Strickland won round 1, round 2 up for debate. Round 3 was pretty close as well, but it was probably a Dricus round. Dricus round 4, Sean Strickland round 5. That was it. And then we look at round 2. Round 2 was so close. Pretty much dead even. And I'm pretty confident in saying that I don't mind it going to either guy. I'll be honest, I do not mind round 2 going to either guy. In the time of me watching it live, I thought Sean Strickland won round 2. Close, but I thought Sean did win round 2. And then I thought it was 2-2 going into that 5th. And Strickland clearly won round 5. But it was a great fight nonetheless. I thought it was very fun, very entertaining, and I think we really understand a lot more about both fighters now. We kind of saw Sean Strickland get a little tired. Like, he wasn't gassed, breathing super heavily, going, getting super tired, but you could see that he was slowly wearing out. And you saw Dricus actually go 5 rounds and survive 5 rounds. And that's a big thing for us to know now, that Strickland can get tired and Dricus can last 5 rounds. The big thing for both guys, though, this is the really annoying thing that I don't like about MMA, the UFC with the judging criteria, and I'll get into with Motsai Evloev versus Arnold Allen as well. But we have a damage-based scorecard, right? Like, it's damage-based. But when we look at how the fights so far this year, and even last year, they've really been kind of favoring people that have got control time and getting takedowns. We've kind of been favoring that side more than what the rule is, or the judging criteria is, and it's damage trumps all. And when we're watching Sean Strickland, okay, Dricus Du Plessis throwing his head kicks, throwing more wild hooks and overhands and stuff, and body shots, I completely agree with that. But when I'm watching Sean Strickland land his 1-2, and Dricus' eyes almost swollen up, I just find it a close round, but I just think if we're going off of a damage-based scoring, I think it is a Sean Strickland round for round 2. Close, could be Dricus' round. But I just think it was a Sean round, I'll be completely honest, I thought it was. But it was close nonetheless. It was very, very close. Call me biased, I thought Sean won round 2. Incredibly close though. But what's next for both guys? It is an immediate rematch. I don't like giving title. Like, I know Sean won his fight at UFC 293, and then his next fight defends it or loses. I don't like that when you win the belt, then you lose, get an immediate rematch. I don't like that. But who else is there at middleweight for a title fight? Like, I know I made it in my video yesterday where it's middleweight's actually really fun now. But as of right now, no one really deserves a title shot more than Sean Strickland. Like, Strickland beat Adesanya so clearly. And I know there's the storyline there of Dricus du Plessis versus Adesanya, and you do it in South Africa. I completely understand that storyline, and it sells pay-per-views. I completely understand that. But when you think of other guys at middleweight who are, like, Adesanya doesn't really deserve a title shot. Like, can you make the argument for him to get one? Yes, absolutely. But he doesn't really deserve it. And who else deserves a title? Hamza doesn't deserve a title shot. He arguably lost to Kamaru Usman. And on his middleweight debut, after taking a year and a half off, and yeah, almost lost to Usman on 10 days notice, 7 days notice. And then look at a guy in Jared Cannonier. Now, is there an argument for Jared Cannonier to get a title shot after what he did for Marvin Vettori, and he has a win over Sean Strickland? Yes, but I don't think he deserves a title shot more than Sean Strickland does. And the storyline for Adesanya, I completely understand it, but Sean Strickland just went toe-to-toe with Dricus du Plessis, and round 2 could have been a 10-10 round. That's the part that I want to get out. Like, it was 2-2, it's clearly 2-2, and round 2's the swing round, and it's almost as close to a 10-10 round as you can get. Strickland deserves the immediate rematch. Adesanya doesn't deserve a title shot. No one else really deserves a title shot more than Strickland. Strickland deserves this immediate rematch. And just an early prediction, should we get an immediate rematch? I think Strickland wins. I think after round 2, in round 2, when he was slowing down on that tape to the body, and he didn't throw it at all in round 3 and 4, and granted, that was because Dricus was the one moving forward, I think Strickland can win this time. I think Strickland can win. I think after watching that, there are so many holes in Dricus's game on the feet that because of styles make fights, I completely understand that. But there is a couple openings on the feet. And I think a guy in Adesanya, look, I'm from New Zealand. I don't really like Adesanya. I'll be one of the only guys in New Zealand that does not really like Adesanya. And I've said it throughout his whole career. He's not my favorite fighter. I picked Pereira to beat him here. I picked Pereira to beat him here. And call me crazy, I thought Cannonier had a good chance against him as well. And I don't like Adesanya, but you can't say that Adesanya has a really good chance at beating Dricus du Plessis. He has a really good chance at beating him. When you've got a guy in Dricus who only moves forward, and one of the greatest strikers of all time that we've ever seen in the UFC, one of the greatest strikers in mixed martial arts history, who's a counter striker, there's a lot of openings, and then it becomes a big rock, paper, scissors thing where you get Rock being Dricus, and Dricus beats Strickland, but Strickland beats Adesanya, and Adesanya beats Dricus, so you get this big three-way thing. But I think Adesanya actually beats Dricus really easily. And I just don't agree that Adesanya deserves a title shot. I think you have to do Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis in an immediate rematch. I think that's the only thing that makes sense at middleweight for a title fight. But I'm getting emotional now. Very close fight. I think that's one of the closest fights I've ever seen as an MMA fan. I think it was incredibly close. So close. It was really fun to watch though, and I have the utmost respect for both men. Utmost respect. They said it was going to be a war to the death, and we got it to the death. Now, I know there was other fights on the card, like Neil Magny won. That was so fun to watch. Canada went, 0-7 on the card? You went to Canada, every Canadian fighter lost. When does that happen? You go to Brazil, at least, okay, maybe like they go 2-5, but at least 2 Brazilian fighters went. You go to Asia, and okay, some Asian fighters might not be as good and they might lose, but some of them win, do you know what I mean? Canada went 0-7, and Mike Malott lost to Neil Magny. Now, I know if you want to be a champion, you want to be a high-level guy in welterweight, if you're not steaming past Neil Magny, he's your gatekeeper. If you can't beat Neil Magny, it's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good. And granted, look at what Ian Gary did to him. And Mike Malott came with that same kind of game plan, but he doesn't have as good a striking as Ian Gary. and he really kind of messed up on it. And watching Neil Magny actually finish him in round 3, like those last 40 seconds of the fight, I thought, oh my gosh, Mike Malott sucks. Like, he does. And I couldn't believe it. But, you know, obviously Raquel Pennington, Maro Bueno Silva, do you know what I mean? What do I talk about it? It was a pretty boring fight. Women's MMA. But I'm happy for Raquel Pennington to actually have the belt. It's cool. It's fun. But, man, we took Amanda Nunes for granted. We really took it for granted. We really need her back. I know she's not going to come back, but we need her back. She was so special. We need Amanda Nunes back to save this division. We really do. But another fight, Chris Curtis versus Marc-Andre Barriault. I thought 30-27 was kind of crazy for Chris Curtis. I think it was very close. It was really fun for that last 30 seconds to a minute in the fight when they were just in the clinch, just boom, just beating each other up. That was fun. But I do think Chris Curtis won 29-28. 30-27 is a little bit crazy, but fun. It was all right. It was all right. And then this is the other one I want to talk about. How do I even start this? For Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev. How do I even start this? How do I start this? This is the really annoying thing. How do I actually start talking about it? Do we start with Marc Goddard being an awful referee? Do we talk about the legal knees? Do we talk about Arnold Allen actually winning the fight? Like, I don't really know how to start. Let's start with the fight, then let's talk about how bad Marc Goddard is. Oh, I'm going to get so emotional in this. Arnold Allen, in my opinion, won the fight. In my opinion, I thought he did. I thought he won round 1. Movsar Evloev clearly won round 2. And I thought it was pretty clear it was 1-1 going into that third round. Pretty clear. Now, this goes back to that I don't like the judging criteria and the scoring criteria. It's damage trumps all. Arnold Allen clearly landed the better strikes in round 1. Clearly. But it becomes a close round because Movsar Evloev got a couple takedowns, a little bit of control time. What happened to the scoring criteria? What's the scoring criteria, UFC? It was an Arnold Allen round in round 1. When we look at the scoring, it was an Arnold Allen win in round 1. Round 2, Evloev clearly won that round. Really hurt Arnold Allen, pretty much almost dropped him, really badly hurt him, clear Movsar Evloev round. Then round 3. Those were so legal knees. They were not illegal in any world whatsoever. In no world were those illegal knees. Now, the main thing is that if you are a grounded opponent, so that's where, okay, you might be on both your hands and knees, and you're like, your knees on the ground, both hands are down, you're looking like a cow, and you're actually on the ground. That's illegal. Like, you look at, most infamous one, most famous, Petr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. Did Aljamain Sterling fake it? Possibly. We don't know. But that was an illegal knee. And when you look at this where he's got both feet down, but he's not weight bearing on that hand. That hand's just kind of lying there. It's lying on the ground. It's lying there. It's not even touching the ground. And those are clearly legal knees. And he's not lifting him up, going like, lift up knee, lift him up knee, lift him up knee. He was not doing that. He was not grounded. He had his feet were planted. He was not on the ground. They were clearly legal knees, Marc Goddard. And Marc Goddard, man, you've messed up a couple times recently with early stoppages and a couple controversial things. Now, I know that was early, but not early. Like, you call it early, whatever. That was whatever. I thought it was kind of early, but that was going one way, and Alex Pereira in that 5th round was definitely going to win that. And then you look at Pereira again in MSG against Yuri Prochazka. Was Pereira about to go into full mount? Yes. And was he about to wail on Yuri? Yes. But you shouldn't have stopped that fight, Marc Goddard. I'm the biggest Alex Pereira fan. I love Alex Pereira. It was an early stoppage. And then we look at this. We have some awful knees. They were clearly legal, and you should have let that happen. Now, even if we take away those knees, I still think Arnold Allen won round 3. I still think he did arguably win round 3. And even if you bring in those knees, it's a clear Arnold Allen win. The clearest Arnold Allen win if you count those knees. And even if we don't count those knees, I still think Arnold Allen won that fight. I still think he did. But it is what it is. Sorry, I have gotten a little emotional this video. It just really annoys me when we look at the scoring criteria and the judging criteria and we don't follow it. And it just annoys me that we don't follow it. Now, am I a UFC fighter? No. Am I a judge? No. Am I a referee? No. So you don't need to take my advice. You don't need to take my word for it. But as a hardcore MMA fan, I just feel like I didn't like some of the decisions that happened on that card. But Sean Strickland, Dricus du Plessis, fight of the year so far. I mean, we've already had 2 cards this year. But fun fight, great scrap. It was to the death. It was really fun. Thank you, Dricus du Plessis and Sean Strickland, for saving the card. I think they should do an immediate rematch. Those knees were legal, Mark Goddard. But yeah, I hope you'll have enjoyed today's video. Please like and subscribe down below. And yeah, left, right, good night.